of tax on neighboring wells as it should not be certified? What if 5 years of water monitoring proves that the project groundwater use is impacting our wells and cannot be sustained? CCWD admits it will take at least 5 to 10 years to bring surface water to Trinitas. By then, it may be too late for us. We purchased our properties believing that county laws permitted certain types of land uses nearby and prohibited others. We don't think our neighborhood's rural character should be altered by someone who purchased ag preserve land to build a playground for wealthy local and out-of-county golfers. We expected our county government to enforce its zoning codes and general plan use designations. So far, it hasn't, but now you can take corrective action today. We urge you, please vote to deny the Ridge at Trinitas proposal. And I have the original letters for you with a map attached showing the wells.
My name is Hazel Kane, and this is the first time that I have submitted comments on this project. My letter and the attachments were filed with the clerk last Thursday on April 9th. You may not have them yet. And the lady that came up here first is Pete Hospital's daughter. Dear members of the board, Pete Hospital and Jack Hospital were very close friends of my husband Phil Kane and myself. We helped many times when they were working their cattle and sheep, so we really knew the ranch and their wells and their water. Both were excellent. Today, a non-permitted 18-hole golf course is directly across the road, and today, Hospital wells are pumping sand. It is difficult to keep cattle and sheep alive without adequate water. The sheep still have their babies in the big barn, and the noise and lights are very frightening to them. This is true for the cattle and horses also. No one ever considers food a necessity until there is none. One cannot eat golf balls. If CCWD decides to run a pipeline to Trinitas and tax all the people along the Burson Road, Highway 26, Warren, Southworth, Adams, Pettinger, Hospital, and etc. in District 1 and District 5, a similar situation may happen to CCWD that happened in 1974. I have enclosed a few of the petitions and agreements signed by landowners and the final letter to Pete Hospital from the law firm of Blewett, Garrettson, and Hashman, March 27, 1974. Thank you most sincerely. Hazel Kane.
Thank you, Hazel.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Wiest, and I am the chair of the Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee. I chaired the investigation into Trinitas as a prelude to our organization's endorsement of this project. We interviewed county staff, supervisors, and the Nemi family. We asked the hard questions. We poured through the volumes of documents, we toured the project site, and we did our due diligence. We sought and found the truth. We put the full support of the Chamber behind the approval of this project in its entirety. As you look around this room, you will see many others who sought and found the truth. They have come today to stand up and support the Nemi family and Trinitas. While it is the Chamber's mission to encourage and support economic development in this county, it is the voice of the community that also needs to be heard. I look around and I see organizations from across the community that have come together and united behind this family and this project. I see those who serve our community, the deputies and the firefighters, those who teach our children, the schools, those who advocate for our property rights and fair government, Taxpayers Association, those who serve and protect our water rights, CCWD, those who advocate for jobs and working families, the Chamber and the unions, those who grow food in our community, the farmers, and I see neighbors wanting to see their neighborhood become a better place. Ordinary citizens just wanting something to stimulate local business and provide hope for our local community. This is what Trinitas has to offer. It offers benefits to every segment of the community with no cost to the county. Listen to the voice of the community and move this community forward. Please vote to approve the entire project and open this business for the benefit of all of Calders County. Thank you.
Any questions of Linda?
Well, Linda, I have a question. What was the Chamber's evaluation of the economic analysis that was done on this project?
We didn't put numbers together on
Well, there were
economic.
numbers, please.
We came out in support of it. You had that letter, the letter from the
Yeah,
chamber.
but I was just wondering if the Chamber wanted to make a comment on the economic analysis, because that's...
There were two documents that went into the record on with varying with different perspectives on the economic impacts, and we're interested in whether the chamber is weighing in.
Well, our mission
in relation to either of those.
Okay, our mission is to support the economic growth of this county, and this certainly is going to have an effect. I can't put a number on that, but the chamber really supports the project based on what we think the economic impact would be. Is that
Good afternoon. My name is Becky Schreiber, and I'm a resident of Valley Springs. There are many different types of entrepreneurs. There are the ones that steal your identity and empty out your bank account. And if they have a couple of hundred clients, they make quite a good living. They're the ones that work with their hands, break into your homes, take your belongings, then become salesmen and make money off of your hard work. Then we have someone like Mike and Michelle Nemi. Someone that had a vision, not unlike Mr. Kautz up in Arnold, a man that decided to have wineries and vineyards, an event that brings people to the visit of the other side of the county. Mike had a vision where he went up in a plane and looked over his beautiful land here in Calaveras County, and he decided to create a golf course. He didn't do this by tearing up the land, cutting down the trees, replace them with trees that are not native to this area. No, he used the terrain, and he left the oak trees and created a course that will bring others here just to admire it. He maintained the old olive orchard, which produces a product that brings notoriety to this county. Not only is this land being kept in its natural state, he has provided a sanctuary for birds and other animals. Now, I realize that this project has been debated for some time, and not everyone here was part of that. Things were put into motion that cannot be changed now. We need to get it together and move forward. Do something really great for our county. When visitors come with their families to golf at Trinitas, they are coming for an extended visit, not just one day. They will stay at Trinitas, enjoy the amenities, visit the wineries, go to Murphy's, and spend some money there. They will take the families to the caverns and go learn how to pan gold. And Dad will get a chance to play at the other courses in Calaveras County that offer like La Quintana, Greenhorn Creek, and Saddle Creek. And if I know the golf community, they have already put packages together with the courses so these visitors will golf all over our county. Mike knows he needs to do something about the roads. He has known this all along. As far as the special events that are planned a couple times a year, Mike is a responsible person who will do what it takes to make our community safe. He has access to the highway patrol for traffic control and volunteer sheriffs, which I'm a part of, for his in-park control. He is a problem solver. He will make sure to do whatever it takes for safety's sake. As for the livestock in the area maybe being a little stressed, why are there so many cows, sheep, and goats hanging around the fences on Highway 4, 26, and 49? in this county, not to mention San Joaquin and the county of Sacramento. After all, they're happy California cows. Most of all, we need this project to go forward, so in the end, it will provide jobs. Now during the remainder of the project and for the future of our county. We are in dire need of revenue, and projects and good people like Mike and Michelle will generate income for Calaveras County. Trinitas is and will be good for our future of Calaveras County. Let's do what we need to do to get the golf course as part of a fun family adventure that Calaveras County has to offer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Becky.
Good afternoon, John Buckley, representing CSERC. We will be less than 15 minutes, recognizing you have a long day. Before our biologist speaks, I would clarify a question that Rita asked, and to correct the two speakers previously. The Audubon Society, National Audubon Society, has absolutely nothing to do with the sanctioned Audubon golf course thing. And in fact, at one point litigated to try and get the name Audubon removed from it. There is no connection between National Audubon Society. I'm an Audubon member and work with a local group. So I'm going to introduce Lindsay Myers, who's our biologist, and she'll speak first, and then I'll finish up.
Hello. As John said, my name is Lindsay Myers, and I'm a staff biologist for CSERC. Our center submitted many important comments that were totally ignored in the Trinitas EIR. For instance, we noted that the project's oak replacement plan is not clearly developed or specific when describing mitigation measures. We also repeatedly asked that the EIR carefully consider the water quality impacts from having the proposed new development, such as the clubhouse, relying entirely on a commercial septic system, and suggested that the project be required to build a self-contained tertiary treatment plant or to scale back the size of the project to reduce the amount of wastewater generated. The EIR failed to even acknowledge our comments. CSERC also noted that the state of California has determined that a project's contributions to greenhouse gas emissions must be analyzed and mitigated for to comply with CEQA. Yet nowhere in the EIR or in the project planning documents has the consultant or planning staff even crudely calculated the project's major carbon emissions. This project and the EIR also violate CEQA because the applicant has not worked with State Fish and Game or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to develop clear mitigation measures for project impacts to biological resources. As one State Fish and Game letter emphasized, it is not legally acceptable to simply state in an EIR that the applicant will enter into formal consultation with resource agencies to determine impacts to biological resources. It is not enough to promise to create mitigation measures later, because the public has no way to comment on those measures now, before the project is approved. Because the EIR failed to respond to clear, specific comments from public and resource agencies, and because the EIR failed to provide clear mitigation measures for the many significant impacts to biological resources, the EIR does not meet the clear requirements of CEQA. In closing, as I shared at the commission hearing, I grew up in Calaveras County, and I was on the Calaveras High golf team. Yet, even as a golfer, I do not believe that this golf course should be approved. The applicant should not be rewarded for so much disregard for the county's planning regulations, and approving this project would create a very dangerous precedent in Calaveras County. Thank you.
This afternoon, and as well as this morning, in many ways, what you guys are listening to is the story from those who are in favor of the project and those who have concerns about it. Our center has followed this project for years, and it's been highly frustrating. And a quick reason why, if you look in the planning file, I expect most of you, I hope, will have looked in that file. You see, for example, an August 20, 2001 letter from Jeffries Engineering to Calaveras County Planning Department saying, "I'm not certain of the source of the complaints about which your letter refers, nor what has led you to the conclusion that a golf course is under construction. The applicants wish to install a vineyard to complement the other established agricultural uses on site. In light of the fact that a golf course is not under construction, I remain puzzled by your letter." It's that kind of process, response, that has led to where we are today. Where at the Planning Commission we heard from the applicants, well, they really thought at first that the first holes they were creating were landscaping. They weren't a golf course. And then it grew, and then the golf course was there. And now, surprisingly, we're at a point where you, the county, are now allowing them to apply, not just for the golf course to now become officially commercial for thousands of people a year, but you're being asked to approve development that is so inconsistent with the general plan designation for the property that includes the restaurant, that includes the lodging, the parking, the commercial operation, the court, 24 major events a year, and subdivision of the property. The general plan is your legal agreement with the county. And Mr. Abbott, speaking on behalf of him in his first presentation, he said to you, it is a deferential judgment as to whether or not the project is consistent with the general plan. And he listed some general plan goals that are not in conflict. Well, he then went on to say, referring to the project, it isn't going to be consistent with every general plan policy. No project ever is. In all due respect, how many projects do you as board members approve knowingly that aren't completely consistent with the general plan? I hope that you don't approve any of them. You shouldn't be approving projects that aren't consistent with your agreement with the county's residents. And in this case, there are reasons for Mr. Abbott to have tried to dissuade you from focusing on that concern, because the general plan land use designation for the property is for wildlife, botanical, agricultural preserve, timberlands, dam inundation, or mineral resource 2A and 2B. Not one of those uses allows for a commercial golf course. The general plan divides the county into two basic categories: natural resource lands and community development lands. This project's lands are clearly and inarguably designated as natural resource lands for agriculture, not a commercial golf course. A lot of you may have come today trying to find a way to cut the baby in half to find a solution. Your general plan does not allow what is being applied for. So only by ignoring that very basic beginning general plan conflict can either the applicants or county staff jump to the conclusion by switching the zoning to rec that the commercial golf course can become fully legal. In truth, the basic general plan designation does not allow the proposed use on these lands, and it certainly doesn't allow all the expanded development requested by the developers. I could spend a lot of time, and I will not, going into all the details of why the EIR is not consistent. It was not adequate, consistent with SECA, or adequate in terms of legal requirements. But just as a few quick examples, the EIR only identified as significant a small percentage of the overall impacts that truly qualify as significant. The EIR has dubious information. An example, you may have seen it if you read the EIR, it refers to only 50 cubic yards of soil being displaced by the creation of the golf course. That's 7 dump truck loads. That is absolutely so far from reality. And if you read later, you see that just for the trenches, for 90,000 feet or something of pipe and irrigation piping, that there were 900 cubic yards moved just for that. So again, there's a lot of questions in the EIR that are not accurate. Again and again, the EIR did not respond to public comments that were very specific, very basic, and were supposed to be responded to under CEQA. Staff dismissed those concerns by saying the comments were lumped together and answered. That is simply not accurate. The EIR failed to respond to our center's clear request for mitigation measures to show what will be done for significant impacts to biological resources. The response is a promised future plan. The same with Oaks, a promised future plan. When it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, the EIR failed to respond. When it came for our request of a detailed compromise alternative, which I put forward trying to find a middle ground on this, the EIR failed to respond. And state fish and game federal wildlife letters revealed that mitigation is still not identified, yet the EIR doesn't even discuss those deficiencies. The EIR is legally inadequate, and any of you who are considering certifying it today should know that that is not an accurate legal step that you should be taking. And just a quick example, I'm not asking, since I heard how much you've already read, that you read these, but this is just a letter sent in by the Department of Fish and Game that very clearly says the EIR does not adequately address the project's impacts to wildlife, nor does it provide appropriate mitigation. So the project directly conflicts with the general plan, plus the EIR for the project fails to respond to countless major comments, and it fails to contain important information. The project and the EIR are both in violation with the county's plans and with secret requirements. You've heard from some people, Ed Pattison of CCWD, a good example, someone who can come up and find reasons why there can be some benefit. If the project can go forward, there's some money in it for CCWD, it can lead to monitoring of wells. There are going to be many people who speak later who are going to find economic reasons. It'll provide jobs or whatever. But the bottom line is whether or not you will follow the law and apply county planning regulations as they are written. On top of all the above, the county's current general plan is being revised because it is internally inconsistent. And I ask you to really think about this point. The county's current general plan, you all were in this room, you were up on the stage, you had Stephanie Moreno talk to you, you said, we need to revise the general plan because it's legally inconsistent. Now, based on that legally inconsistent general plan, where there are inconsistencies directly tied to this project, you would be using that general plan to somehow equate this as being a legal project to approve with all its inconsistencies. You would truly be creating a legal challenge and an opportunity in the courts. CSERC has consistently commented that the correct legal action is to deny all of the applications before you today, but due to the uniqueness of the situation, we have also suggested a way to allow the applicants to retain at least some portion of their golf course for personal, non-commercial use only by family and friends, but for the county to only allow such use after appropriate mitigation measures of taking portions of the golf course, putting them back into natural habitat for 20 acres or so, and 20 acres or so into active agricultural acreage to make up for the agricultural impacts. In closing, this project site is legally designated by your general plan to be in agriculture. CSERC urges you to fully deny the application before you today and not to approve the unpermitted and illegal golf course. And most important for the area's residents, do not allow this rural agricultural area to be converted in direct conflict with your general plan. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Buckland? Thank you. Okay.
I'm short, I always have problems with this, so bear with me, no matter where.
Bear with me for just one moment, please. We have 3 speakers that are lined up here. We've had a request for a break, or a short break right after these 3 speakers, so we'll be taking a 5-minute break. Go ahead.
My name is Joan Bowl, and I am speaking from, I own a business. I had to go through all the laws in order to get my business in Calaveras County. I had to do the permits, everything that goes with it. Number 2, I was staff on a 18-hole golf course. I know what happens. I live now on Hospital on a 90-degree turn. Since I have moved in 9 years ago, there's been minimum 5 accidents because people don't obey the courtesy of 35 miles an hour. Luckily, they have not landed on my land. They landed across the street so far. Golf courses can be disastrous, especially. I hope that each and every one of you take the tour of what they call the roller coaster. It is a roller coaster if you haven't been there. Do it during the day. Do it at night. When you travel at night, envision all the lights, all the music, all that's going on. And please envision the people that have good times, that come out. We used to feed food and drink on the golf course. There is no easement there. The kids take their trucks, their cars, and they use the roller coaster to go up and down because when you're at the top, you can't see what's down there. Trinitas is right there. You'll see it. Also, golfers golf in the fog. Try that road in the Thule fog. Come in daytime, go out at night, but try the Thule fog. I know what happens. If you think Highway 26 has had accidents, you have no idea. I was corrected at the Planning Commission where they didn't have, two people didn't have the audacity to tell the truth of how they felt. That's fine. That we all have a feeling. I was told by Mike Nemi almost maybe a year ago that I objected to his route to get to the golf course. And he said, why? I said, you're having everybody pass by my ranch. I'm a city slicker, but I moved to the country because it's beautiful here. I don't want it changed. I've learned how to do all the drip lines, so I don't take a lot of water. Believe me, and my place is known as the Enchanted Forest because I love animals. I object to now I see fishing and hunting. Does that mean when the birds go off the sanctuary that they're going to shoot them? And I know that animals bark. My dogs bark when there was a murder miles away because they heard the shots. I know how it upsets them. So I speak from experience as being a businesswoman, of being on a golf course for over 15 years, working there. I know what happens. And I agree with a lot of people here. And Mike, it is beautiful. But Mike told me that he would change the route. He has never changed the route. So I'm sorry. I don't like people who tell me stories. That's the cardinal sin. You can steal from me, but don't tell me a lie. So with that, I stand reserved, and I thank you for your afternoon time. This was getting shorter. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Ms. Ball. Okay, just before you begin, I just want to make sure that these four people there understand we're going to take a break. Okay, you're going to stand there and wait then. All right, good for you. No, we're going to take you and this is trouble.
I know I don't need to remind you, but we are a nation of laws. This is a state of laws. Calaveras County is a county of laws. And you good people sitting there, and you are good people sitting there, it is your responsibility to make sure that those laws, those rules apply to everybody equally. Zoning is for a reason. And when people move into a community, they expect to be in an area to where they are going to be blessed by the privileges. If it's agricultural land, then it's those types that want to live in that area. If it's recreational, then, there are recreational lands in the county of Calaveras. But going in, we know what our privileges are, and we know what our obligations and our limitations are. An analogy, and believe me, I hope it remains an analogy. This county has so many beautiful lands. We'll just take an example driving up Highway 12 on the other side of Valley Springs going towards San Andreas. I mean, what if somebody thinks, or a developer comes along and says, wow, wouldn't that be a beautiful spot for a public swimming pool and water slide? Now, how are we going to get this accomplished? Well, the way you start is you start grading at the farthest end of your property where nobody knows what's going on. And by the time you get to the road, you're going to have this big old hole in the ground, cemented hole, and you're going to have this big blue monstrosity sitting there. And what's the county going to do? Say, oh my gosh, we're going to have to rectify this. We're going to have to help these people out. Maybe we should make sure that no cows, no horses, no sheep wander on that land. Maybe we'll just go ahead and change the zoning. You, gentlemen and beautiful lady, you are responsible for seeing to it that all of your residents play by the same rules. Thank you so much.
We didn't get your name, please.
My name is Frances Sands, and I've been here in this county about 16 years.
Thank you. I was going to mention that this is not a, I love hearing applause, but it's after I've sung a song or something, but let's hold off on that. So.
Does that mean I can't have any applause?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless you want to sing.
Okay. I'm going to applaud myself.
Mr. Thomas wants to.
I sometimes wonder if we just took the testimony from.
Your name, please.
My name is Albert Segala. I'm president of the Calaveras County Taxpayers Association, and I'm speaking in favor of the project. And I've done this by letter.
Excuse me, Al. Are you speaking as Al or the CTA?
I'm speaking as both.
As both. Okay.
All right.
You want an hour?
They allow me to say things other than what has been approved by our board of directors, as long as I don't say anything wrong. Sometimes I wonder if we just took the testimony from the planning commission and replayed it here, we'd have it down pat. We wouldn't have to have anybody in the room, just listen to the same testimony. So I thought I'd deviate from that a little bit, because there's no new points that I've seen from what was been expressed before. But we talk about following the law, which essentially, and process, which is essentially what's being discussed here. Originally, I was not in favor of the project. I was opposed to it. At that time, I was the director of the Chamber of Commerce, and our president at that time was, or one of our directors anyway, was Nick Batista, who was pretty much opposed to the project because it wasn't started as a complete project. It was built as a golf course and then later went into a more refined project. And it wasn't until I went on the site and looked at the documents and looked at the background and all the understandings that were going on through that process that I changed my mind that, gee whiz, this was a good thing. And I was disappointed at the nature of the attacks against the project because I didn't think they were truthful or balanced. And they were done in the attempts to deceive or to confuse. It was a political campaign, and I was very disappointed about that. But purpose and process. We talk mostly about process. Purpose is more important than process. What good is a process if it has no purpose? The purpose involved here, in my opinion, is a person's right to use their property, the public's right to be safe, and their neighbor's rights to not be abused by another neighbor. So these are the issues, and this is the good thing about this review process. It hopefully brings the truth to the surface. And in understanding that truth, you know, or should know, what to do. One of the things that can happen when enough projects get so complicated, now I won't take my whole 15 minutes.
So you are representing...
Were you thinking of shortening it down to 3 minutes?
I wasn't clear what you said, Al, whether you were actually representing the
Taxpayer Association.
All right, thank you.
The purpose and process. So we've been talking about process, and what I'd like to talk a little bit is about purpose. I think the purpose of what's happening here is a person's right to do as they see fit with their property in accordance with the law. And of course, the purpose of the law is to protect individual rights, including the rights of the property owner. So quite often the law deviates from that, and sometimes that has to be corrected by our local representatives, which has been done many times in the past. When I was in 1960, I was a young man. I had a girlfriend, and I went to Disneyland. And I was amazed about what I saw there. And I went to this little place called the Tiki Room. There was a bunch of parrots. They're singing. And it was really neat. I was totally amazed that something like could be created. And I think I was only 21 years old at that time. But all these years since then, I'm older now, all the years since then, I still remember the refrain of those parrots in the Tiki Room. But even in thinking about that, what's more important was the purpose of Disneyland. Disneyland was created BC. That's not before Christ. That's before Sequoia. What would Walt Disney do if he came to Calaveras County and went through this process? Do you think he retained his sanity? What would happen to Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse? We need to think about what we're doing about human innovation, and the person's right to do with their property as they see fit. And hopefully we will never discourage a genius such as Walt Disney, and there's others, from coming to Calaveras County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Segala. Okay, we are going to take a short break. We'll be reconvening in 5 minutes.